Alright, so let's just take us back a little bit here to where we were. So as I mentioned, we're looking for two numbers that multiply to give 2, add to give 3, and we figured out it had to be those two. So we rewrite this as x squared plus 1x plus 2x plus 2. And you'll see that these two terms add up to 3x. Then we factor by grouping. So we look at what's common in the first two. We get x, and we're left over with x plus 1. As soon as we know one bracket, we know the other. Notice I left some space here. And then I ask myself, what do I multiply by x to get 2x? It has to be 2. Is 2 times 1 equal to 2? For sure. So my common factor, x plus 1, x and 2 make my other factor, and that works out. Now let's check that just to make sure we're on the right page. So if I use the distributive property, I could do x times x and x times 2. That gives me x squared plus 2x. 1 times x and 1 times 2. That gives me x plus 2. Combine my like terms, and I get x squared plus 3x plus 2. Exactly what I started with. Perfect. Okay then, but what happens if things get a little bit more complicated? And instead of having x squared and some number x and just a constant at the end, we've got this xy term in the middle and this y squared term at the end. Well, the starting process is still the same. We're going to look for two numbers that multiply to give -6 and add to give +1. Okay, multiply to give -6. So I could have -1 and 6. I could have -2 and 3. I could have -3 and 2. And I could have -6 and 1. Those are the only ways I can multiply to give -6. Which one of those add to give 1? +1. And that's my option. Okay, so I have x squared to start with. I have minus 2xy. I have plus 3xy, and I have minus 6y squared. Okay, I didn't care about the x or the numbers, the letters yet, just the numbers. Now I factor by grouping again. Okay, what's common in the first two terms? X. What does that leave you with? X minus 2y. I leave a blank. Bracket has to be the same. X minus 2y. To fill in this spot, we ask, what do we multiply x by to get 3xy? So it's got to be positive. And to get 3xy, I've already got the x. I need the 3 and the y. Double check. Is 3y and -2y equal to -6y squared? You betcha. So you're left with your common factor, x minus 2y, and your leftover bits, x plus 3y. If we check it, we use the distributive property. X times x and x times 3y give x squared plus 3xy. -2y times x and -2y times 3y give us -2xy. Notice how I changed the order of the letters there to make it alphabetical, and -6y squared. Clean this up, and we get x squared plus xy minus 6y squared. Exactly what we started with. So that's factoring trinomials that start with a 1, x squared term. Okay, no other number in front, just in the middle and at the end. And of course, we get a little harder than that, so I'll show you an example of that next.